You in the shadows, we can talk all night, 'cause the fever's high and the feeling's right. But you just keep to yourself and leave me in your palm. Cry into the morning, and I know it's good to be free again from old falsehood and ghosts of younger days that make us sad. And all the brightest soldiers that I had fell away, and they don't understand. Sunk and shattered by the waves of time, I'm lost in dreams I thought were mine, like bubbles of foam on the ocean, come and gone. And all the brightest soldiers that I've drawn fell away before another dawn. Dazzled by illusions glare, they can't save me for all they care. My fallible soldiers have a plan, but all the brightest soldiers in my hand will fall away, and they don't understand. Everybody's misconstrued, in not much time we'll start anew. Don't decorate what's dead, bring out what's true. And all the brightest soldiers that I knew fell away, and all I have is you. All the brightest soldiers that I knew fell away, and all that's left is you. So the inspiration for this song was actually from the Srimad Bhagavatam 214, verse 214, which goes like this. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Srimad Bhagavatam, let me quickly give you some context. Thousands of years ago, there was a king, a great emperor. His name was Parikshit Maharaj. and he was cursed to die within 7 days. That's another story. But when this curse fell upon him, he accepted it, and he immediately left home and prepared himself for death. So he fasted by the bank of the Ganges, and he was surrounded by many great saints and sages who came from far and wide to help the king to prepare for his next step in life. At that time, a great spiritual master, Srila Shukadeva Goswami, appeared there, and Parikshit Maharaj accepted him as the right person to give him the best information about what he should do. So the king asked him, what is the way of perfection for all persons, and especially for one who is about to die? What should a person hear about, chant, remember, and worship, and also what should he not do? So when Shukadeva Goswami heard this question by the king, he was very pleased, and he said, this is a glorious question because it's beneficial for all kinds of people. And before pointing out, or before delivering the answer, the full answer to the king, he pointed out cut. So Srila Shukadeva Goswami was very happy with the question put to him by the king. But before delivering his answer, he wanted to point out what is actually our predicament here in this material world. So let's hear again this verse, its translation and its explanation. Deha patya kalatradishu atma sanyeshvasatsvapi tesham pramato nidhanam pashyannapi na pashyati. Persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached to the fallible soldiers like the body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This material world is called the world of death. Every living being, beginning from Brahma, whose duration of life is some thousands of millions of years, down to the germs who live for a few seconds only, is struggling for existence. Therefore, this life is a sort of fight with material nature, which imposes death upon all. In the human form of life, a living being is competent enough to come to an understanding of this great struggle for existence. But being too attached to family members, society, country, etc., he wants to win over the invincible material nature by the aid of bodily strength, children, wife, relatives, etc. Although he is sufficiently experienced in the matter, by dint of past experience and previous examples of his deceased predecessors, he does not see that the so-called fighting soldiers, like the children, relatives, society members, and countrymen, are all fallible in the great struggle. One should examine the fact that his father or his father's father has already died, and that he himself is therefore also sure to die. And similarly, his children, who are the would-be fathers of their children, will also die in due course. No one will survive in the struggle with material nature. The history of human society definitely proves it, yet the foolish people still suggest that in the future they will be able to live perpetually with the help of material science. This poor fund of knowledge exhibited by human society is certainly misleading, and it is all due to ignoring the constitution of the living soul. This material world exists only as a dream due to our attachment to it. Otherwise, the living soul is always different from the material nature. The great ocean of material nature is tossing with the waves of time, and the so-called living conditions are something like foaming bubbles, which appear before us as bodily self, wife, children, society, countrymen, etc. Due to a lack of knowledge of self, we become victimized by the force of ignorance and thus spoil the valuable energy of human life in a vain search after permanent living conditions, which are impossible in this material world. Our friends, relatives, and so-called wives and children are not only fallible, but also bewildered by the outward glamour of material existence. As such, they cannot save us. Still, we think that we are safe within the orbit of family, society, or country. The whole materialistic advancement of human civilization is like the decoration of a dead body. Everyone is a dead body, flapping only for a few days. And yet, all the energy of human life is being wasted in the decoration of this dead body. Shukadeva Goswami is pointing out the duty of the human being after showing the actual position of bewildered human activities. Persons who are devoid of the knowledge of Atma Tattva are misguided, but those who are devotees of the Lord and have perfect realization of transcendental knowledge are not bewildered.